welcome to Harford County Living. My name is Rich Bennett, and of course today's episode once again brought to you by Town Grill and Pub in the Joppatown Plaza, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and of course on the weekends they have all the meats from the pit, so make sure you get down there. That's towngrillandpub.com, town with an E, or call them 410-538-4665. Today we're joined in the studio by Marianne Forgan, right?
Yes.
She has a 5K walk coming up, Strides for CJD, and our councilman from District A, Michael Perrone. So Marianne, I'm going to go to you first. Tell us exactly what CJD is and everything that you got going on with the Strides, the 5K walk you have coming up.
Well, CJD is a neurodegenerative disease. It is like ALS. It's been described as ALS on steroids. It's in the same family of diseases as Parkinson's, Huntington's, Alzheimer's, ALS, and CJD. There's no treatment for it. There's no cure for it. They know about the mechanisms of it, but they don't quite understand like why it happens. So it could happen sporadically. It could happen familial, which is genetic. They just don't know. So you could just one day all of a sudden get it sporadically. It actually is the proteins in your brain. They continually divide. The cells in your brain continually divide. So one of those cells will misfold, attach to other cells, and then it's called a prion, and that is what starts your brain deteriorating, and you have CJD.
Wow. So it's very rare, I take it.
It's very rare. They really have no way to diagnose it until autopsy either.
What?
So yeah, you don't get a definite diagnosis. So you get told that you have it. My mother had it. You get told that you have it, and then you have to wait until the person passes away to get the exact diagnosis and to be sure that you have it.
Yeah, have they been researching it at all? I mean, I'm sure they have it. For how long? I mean,
yeah, well, they've been researching it for years and years. I mean, it's just, basically. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to find out. Not only would you have to, find something to stop the progression. So you find something to stop the progression of the disease, then what's going to heal your brain? I mean, wow. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it that they have to find out, and it's a scary disease. It is. You die quickly from it, and we hope that having the fundraiser will raise some awareness, because a lot of doctors don't even know about it.
I didn't even know about it until you called me.
Yeah.
And when you told me CJD and you told me what happened, I'm like, I had no idea.
Yeah, nobody's heard of it. So this is really to raise awareness, this 5K and funds, because the foundation, like they'll go around to different hospitals around the country, and they'll have what they call grand rounds, and they speak to the doctors, to the nurses, to teach them about it, because when my mother first got sick from it, we would go to doctor after doctor. We were in emergency rooms. We were all over the place, and they kind of look at you like, well, she's older, or she's got dementia, when you knew yourself that that's not what it was.
Right.
And it not only does it happen in elderly people that are older in their 80s. I know someone whose wife died from it. She was 53 years old. I met a woman at one of the conferences. Her son died from it. He was 13. So, and they don't know why. There's just a huge range of we don't know, and there's a lot of research has to be done.
So, biggest thing right now then is you need people to come to the 5K to raise the funds to make them for them to be able to get the research done.
Yes, we do. And if you can't make it to the 5K, you can always support us by donating online on our fundraiser page.
What's the website for that?
That is www.strides for CJD, and then you go to the Maryland event, and the Maryland fundraiser page.
Okay. And what date is the event on?
October 31st.
Halloween.
Halloween in the morning. It's only from 8 to 12, so everybody will get home in time to get their goodies. And in the morning, be able to maybe do a little exercise before you start eating some candy.
And where's it going to be at?
Mariner Point Park.
In Joppatown.
Yes, in Joppatown.
Now, what time's registration for that?
Well, registration's going to be at 8:30. The run starts at 9. That's going to be 3 laps around the park. Will equal a 5K. The park, I measured about 1.1 miles, so it's maybe a couple extra feet longer than a 5K, but I think it's okay. And then the walk is going to be 1 lap around, which is a mile.
That's a mile?
It is a mile, yes.
I feel good. I walk that sometimes. Maybe that's why I feel so good doing it.
According to my Fitbit, it's a mile.
Wow. Now, how many people do you have signed up for it so far?
Right now we have 65, and we're looking for more people. We would love to have 100 people show up.
Okay, you hear that, Harford County. Get down there, Mariner Point Park, Saturday, October 31st, Halloween. Can they wear a costume?
Oh, yeah. If you wear a costume, you get entered in a contest. You'll get a raffle ticket. So it's not like you're going to be judged. You're going to get a raffle ticket because you, for adult costume or for a kid's costume, it's going to be separate. And then we just pick a winner from that.
I guess it is a good thing that it's in the morning and then at night at night. That'd be pretty scary. So.
Yeah.
Now, Mike, you going to go in on this?
I've got my ticket, bought it about 3 weeks ago.
Did you
Yep.
really?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I won't be running. I will be doing the walking lap. So, yeah, but I will be there.
Yeah, I might have to get down there too. I'll do the walking thing. If I try to run.
You live even closer than I do, so yeah.
Yeah, so if I walk down there and walk back.
You get to tack on some bonus miles.
Oh, wow. Well, maybe I will run down there. So
We're trying to make a goal for next year that we're going to actually run it. So we're going to work on it.
But you run all the time, don't you?
I walk.
Oh, you walk?
Yeah, I walk.
Okay. All right, once we get off, we're going to take a short little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Mike Perone, councilman from District A. Once again, you're listening to Harford County Living right here on 1330 and 104.7 The Point. Okay, welcome back. Once again, you're listening to Harford County Living. I'm your host, Rich Bennett. Brought to you by Town Grill and Pub right down there in the Joppatown Plaza. Give them a call, 410-538-4665. You can also order online at Town Grill and Pub. That's Town with an E, Towne, Grill and Pub, and order online from them. We're going back to Mary Ann real quick. We kept talking about CJD, but we failed to explain to everybody what CJD is. So, Mary Ann, please tell us what CJD is, and you had something else to add too.
Well, CJD stands for Creutzfeldt-Jakob's disease, and it's a lot easier to say CJD. That's kind of what we go by. I was going to add that my mother was a nurse for 25 years. For longer than that, my mother was a nurse. But for 25 years, she worked at Franklin Square, and we thought it would be great to have some nurses come out and show some support and walk. Great. So, if you're available in the morning, it would be great.
Great. You all heard that. Get out there for it. Okay, now we're going to go over to Councilman Mike Perone from District 8. How you doing, Mike?
Good, Rich. How you doing today?
Good. Haven't seen you in a while, so.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks.
Tell us what's going on with Joppatown, Edgewood, Abingdon area, and the county as a whole.
Well, in terms of, I guess let's start with specific upcoming events. This Sunday, the 25th, the Edgewood Lions Club is hosting their annual bull roast. That'll be at the Richland Ballroom from 2 to 4 p.m. Tickets are $40. Hopefully they sell them at the door because I tend to be I'm not good at managing a calendar all the time, so I see something on the calendar, I realize, I haven't got my ticket yet. So
I hope they sold a lot of tickets. We advertised that last week for them.
Oh, good. Yeah, good. I hope they did too. That's coming up, and then next Thursday, which would be cheat a look at my phone so I don't get the date wrong. We are having the next meeting of the Edgewood Development Corporation, so I'll talk a little bit about that and how that kind of got off the ground. That is going to be Thursday, October 22nd at 7 o'clock at the Harford County Sheriff's Office Southern Precinct Station. And what the idea behind the Edgewood Development Corporation was was that there are a lot of state grants out there, state money that's available to either local governments or these development corporations, which the money gets channeled into things like economic revitalization, community revitalization, things like that. And there are a number of communities throughout Maryland that have them. The city of Baltimore has several. And a few of us, in the Edgewood area thought that it would be a good idea to get one off the ground for Edgewood, just because, when you stop and you think about the history of how neither Edgewood nor Joppatown are incorporated communities,
right,
there's good and there's bad that goes along with that. I think the bad is that were that to ever happen, and I've been asked the question before, and I'm not an advocate for incorporation, but were that to happen, that would add another layer of government that we probably wouldn't need. That would be the overwhelming or the overriding negative. But the positive, I think, would be we'd be able to control our own destiny a little bit more. Now, Edgewood, because the majority of the Edgewood zip code is classified by the state as a quote-unquote sustainable community, that gives most of the community eligibility for these state grants. So we decided that even though Harford County government could apply on Edgewood's behalf, it would be better to have an organization whose board was elected, which happened last month. 9 members were elected from the Edgewood community. We put out an announcement that the meeting was happening, and basically what we did was we said that the criteria for being a member of the Edgewood Development Corporation were that you had to either live, work, worship, or do regular community service in Edgewood.
Oh.
And we announced the date of the first meeting. Maybe 24 or so people showed up. 9 people were elected to the board of, from the 24. Because the whole point was for me to get out of this as soon as possible, just help kind of get the publicity, get the whole, on the tax end, get the 501c3 off the ground, because I'm an accountant by trade, so I kind of do that on the side. But after that, withdraw myself completely, because the whole idea is for this to be a truly grassroots represented by the community organization and not a top-down from Harford County government kind of thing. Okay. Because, particularly when it comes to the proving ground for, a lot of the work that I think the proving ground and the community has wanted to do for a while in terms of particularly the Edgewood Road corridor, Maryland 755, some of the revitalization work that could be done there. It would be good to, in addition to county government, have an actual, an official organization representing the needs and wants of the Edgewood community, and that would just add that added layer to the mix, and hopefully be able to move forward with projects that might not have gotten off the ground yet because of that. So
good, okay, and this is strictly for Edgewood.
Yes. So, and the question's been asked, why don't we have one of these for Joppatown? That comes back to the fact that I don't want to say none of Joppatown. No, it's not population. It comes down to where the state has drawn their lines in terms of their sustainable community map. Okay. So the only part of Joppatown that falls into that designation is just a little sliver along Route 40 coming down from Edgewood to the Joppatown Plaza Shopping Center, and it stops there. So the rest of Joppatown does not fall within the classification, so therefore we wouldn't be able to get any of that money in Joppatown.
Oh, wow. Actually, and speaking of Edgewood, Joppatown, I know one of the biggest concerns with a lot of people have been the shopping centers. We see a lot of empty storefronts and all that. Have we heard anything on that? And I know, I don't want to say the owner's name, but dealing with them can be a headache sometimes. But any word on that? Any new businesses coming in or anything?
Well, the permits were pulled a couple of months ago. The demolition permit for the old Pizza Hut building, and then the building. Yes. Okay. The demolition permit for the old Pizza Hut building in Joppatown, and then along with that, the building permit for the Dunkin' Donuts / Baskin Robbins that's supposed to go in there. As far as a time frame, I mean, the first time frame that I was told was that this was going to be off the ground back in February, and it got held up with some closing related things, and then there were some other holdups. So, to the extent that I really don't know what the time frame is, I hate to put information out there, well, this is what I heard, because if it ends up being pushed back, you don't want people saying, well, that the time frame was off. So when it happens, it happens. But it was good to see the permits finally pulled, because that does indicate that the process is moving forward. Good. So yeah. You're listening to Harford County Living, along with my guests, Mary Ann Forgan and Mike Prone. I'm Rich Bennett. We'll be right back. You're listening to us on 1330 and 104.7 The Point.
Welcome back to Harford County Living, brought to you by Town Grill and Pub right there in Town Plaza. Give them a call, 410-538-4665. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and of course, the pit is open on the weekends. Also, if you have an event that you need somebody to cater it, they can cater it for you as well. Once again, we're back with Mary Ann Forgan and Mike Perrone, the councilman from District A. One of the things we want to bring up is volunteerism, because I know I volunteer a lot. Mike volunteers a lot. Mary, it seems like a lot of people do, but we need more of it. And Mary Ann, let's go to you first, because one of the things we were talking during the break, you need volunteers as well for the strides, right?
Yeah, we need volunteers. We're looking for somebody, maybe 1 or 2 people to photograph the event. Everybody on the committee that's running the event really didn't want to be bothered with taking pictures, and we probably would need somebody to post pictures on Twitter and Instagram. There are other cities across the country that are doing this event all at the same time.
Right.
So to raise awareness, we were going to use social media and do all that. So all of us that are there, and we didn't want to be bothered with having to do all that while we were meeting all these other families. It's kind of like a day of support for them,
right,
too.
You're going to be busy doing everything else.
So we are going to be busy, and it has to be somebody that's really interested in photography or taking a class at the college. I put a post up there on their career opportunity page, and because they have to be respectful of everybody there and kind of be in the background, just taking pictures. Nothing posed, everything kind of natural. And when we go to DC in July for our advocacy work with the foundation, I wanted to take these pictures with me to show the people we're talking to, the aides down there that we're talking to, that these are the faces of families and people that care about this disease. We are here, and we want them to be able to see that.
If there are any photographers out there that can volunteer their time, how do they get a hold of you?
It would be best to email me at strides4cjdmd@gmail.com, and it's the number 4.
The number 4.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Mike, you used to belong to the sharing table, or you might still. I don't know. Do you?
No, I stepped down from the sharing table back in August.
All right. As far as volunteers go with that, and I know there's other ones around, did you get a lot of people volunteering?
We would get a lot, but oftentimes, one of the challenges that we faced at the sharing table was mismatch, in the sense that volunteer opportunities that we really didn't need additional help with, like bagging groceries, we would have a lot of people that would want to participate in. And other roles, like we were constantly looking for drivers when we would serve our Saturday lunch, to go into various communities, pick up 25 to 30, usually in shifts of 2 drivers, 25 to 30 of our guests each day, to bring them to the sharing table for lunch and then bring them home. Those positions were always hard to fill. So another thing that we had, a challenge that we faced with volunteers, was the seasonal aspect of volunteerism. So the sharing table is a ministry that serves every Saturday. We're year-round.
Year-round, right.
And we plan our schedule, our serving groups, a year in advance, so as not to leave anything up to chance in terms of, when this date gets closer, we'll schedule somebody. Like, we lay our schedule out well in advance. And we know that when the holidays roll around, we usually get extra help. But there have been years where, there was one year in particular, early on in my tenure, which was maybe 2008, 2009, where we served a Thanksgiving meal. We served about 120 guests, which was about our normal for a holiday meal, and we had 61 volunteers. We had about 24 from the serving group that was actually on for that day, and the remainder were just people that kind of showed up unannounced.
Wow.
And it was difficult. I mean, we didn't have enough help to go around. So what I would try to tell people is that if you could come back in March, or say some other time of the year when, or even like 4th of July weekend, Labor Day weekend, when everybody's off doing other things,
right,
those are the times when we really do need the help. So you never want to turn anybody away, especially kids. And I always would make it a point to try.
If kids are allowed to volunteer or something like that.
Yeah, we didn't really have a set policy. It was more up to the parents' discretion. I mean, when it came to serving food, because you're interacting with people, if somebody asked, I would say, well, probably 12 might be like the youngest we would take. But yeah, regardless of the time of year, I would always try to work kids in because, you plant that seed of volunteerism early on and you could have, you could end up having a lifetime of service follow that. But in terms of, again, the seasonal balance and the fact that so many people want to come out and help during the holidays, it's a wonderful thing. But a lot of times the services, the organizations that are out there don't really, the need doesn't always match the desire to serve, I guess is what I'm saying. So.
All right, you hear that, people. You need to get out there and volunteer for some things. There's plenty of chances to volunteer for anything in the county. Once again, this is Rich Bennett, and I want to thank Mike Perrone and Marianne Forgan for being my guests this week. Join us next week. I can tell you we will have Teresa Stepp, who owns a local business called the Clay Monet that she started, which has been taken off really well. And trying to get some other people on here. I'll fill you in later on social media for that. If you would like to be a guest or sponsor for Harford County Living, please contact me at rbennett@harfordcountyliving.com or 443-982-0250. And once again, if you want to keep up with all the good news and events, just go to harfordcountyliving.com. I want to thank our sponsor, Town Grill and Pub, once again, down there in the Joppatown Plaza, 410-538-4665. Thank you, and we'll see you next week right here on 1330 1047 The Point.